if you look at FOMCA, it's actually Federation of Malaysian Consumer Associations. It's actually a union sort of setup for all the consumer association. But if you look at such a setup, it actually started before independence. The root goes back then, but the first consumer association was Selangor Consumer Association. Then they helped the formation of Consumer Association of Penang, and came many other associations. And at one time the country had so many associations, and they're giving contradicting statements, and that put forth a thought that why don't we put all together under one federation? At least they have an umbrella body, and that has instigated the formation of FOMCA. We are going through a transition period to be more of evidence-based, research-based, and actually solution-providing organization. Basically, we have two major components. One would be the Supreme Council, and this council consists of members who are of Consumer Association. Our members are not individuals. These are associations who have individual members. There is no direct membership to FOMCA, and this group of people will elect a set of exco who will govern FOMCA, and all this information are available on the web. And these excos will form an operating committee, which in FOMCA now will be headed by me. That this committee will look at operations, projects, campaigns, policy research, and also other advocative works. It all falls under the 8 consumer rights. And when we look at assistance, of course we work for the consumer. Actually, we work with the consumer, but not for the consumer. What do we mean by that? You're supposed to be the consumer voice. Well, when we say we work with the consumer, that means we are looking at their interests. Like for example, when we make a statement, not necessarily will support the majority voice of the consumer, because you need to look at the longer term impact. You cannot look at a short term gain, you see. So it's always like a short term pain for a long term gain. We have formed previously the National Consumer Complaint Center. Now this center is independent on its own as a foundation, and it's actually downstairs of FOMCA, and they handle complaints fully. So FOMCA used to handle complaint, but as many complaints start to come in, it becomes a burden for us to manage each individual complaints, because you need to have a set of team, and that brought forward a special unit to look at it. Because you gather a complaint, you need to process this complaint, you need to cross-refer to many legislations. From there you can see which ministries are involved or which agency. What would be your advice to the consumer who is already at loss? And this sort of complaint that comes in, we have two types actually. We have fresh and regulars. Okay, what do I mean by fresh? These fresh complaints usually come either through recommendation, or people who have tried many channels and come back to us to make a complaint because they feel all the other channels cannot help them. Because sometimes they even come to us and make a complaint about a government agency who cannot solve their problem. You see, that is some of complaints that we do receive about agencies who cannot solve their problem. But once they get their problem solved, they come back to us as a regular. That means they cut short all the other channels. They feel this channel can do a better job, and we don't charge for complaint. We have done a review of the Consumer Protection Act. What happens is that when an act comes out, when it's drafted, it goes through a series of process through the AG. By the time it comes out, it's already too late. The act may be 5 years late. So if you have an act which was drafted a period before, and consumer issues evolving, an act came out before the whole IT boom, and now you have online transactions. These are not part of legislation. We are not protected, and there are many other issues. I think higher purchase and misleading advertisements. Higher purchase is because the law itself allows such incidents to take place. But in terms of misleading advertisements, the current law is already having enough subsections to what do you call, to charge those who are misleading and so forth. But there is no willpower. If some people can see an advertisement is misleading, and the government officer can just tell, well, we don't see it misleading and we need solid proof to charge in court. And when you give such a statement, what is the right of a consumer who's down there, who's probably illiterate, who are not sure how to read a label, who expects, when I go to a supermarket, I'm buying genuine product? You see? So when it comes to that, they say, oh, I've given guideline to the supermarkets. Anybody can give a guideline. There's a standard guideline how we should drive on our road. How many of us are following it? Right? If there's no enforcement, definitely nobody is planning to enforce any guideline you're trying to give. One good example I can give is a water catchment area in Perak, Taiping. It's called Maxwell Hill or Bukit Larut. Now they have renamed it. It's a water catchment area which is supplying water to 200,000 people. Back in 1990s, I think at that time was Ramling Talib. It was the BN government. So they have supported to put a resort and a cable car, close to 200 million. We opposed it. I mean, no country would be so clever to go and destroy a water catchment area, and then you're going to treat the water with a higher cost and put into a higher tariff. They should read the consumer rights. There's 8 consumer rights. The last consumer right say the right to safe and healthy environment to live in. That is part of the consumer's right. So you have the right to ensure that the environment that you live in is safe for you. That healthy environment is your right. There is no other rights that says that you need to protect the environment except the consumer rights. It's more on banking actually, banking, telecommunication. It goes to our National Consumer Complaint Center. And last year's report will be released this mid of this year. So we actually produce annual reports for complaint, and based on that we look at what would be the highest amount of complaint, and we look at what will be the nitty-gritty issues in each complaint. For example, if people complain about water and electricity, basically it comes more on the billing disputes. A lot of bill disputes, and because meter tampering, high meter reading, leakage, those sort of issues. And it goes to banking, and then we have scam, a lot of scams running around. So it depends on year to year, and usually it's housing, banking, scam, insurance. These people take turn to the top issues. Challenges. If you look at basically in Malaysia, if you look at NGOs, non-government organization is a very general term. Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers are also tagged as NGO. Malaysian Water Association is also tagged as an NGO. These are all these Malaysian Water Association guys are all industry guys. Okay, then we have another new one after our Saimdabi project report. ProTech, Water and Green Technology Professional Council. They say we are independent, but all of them are working to some company trying to push groundwater project, which we managed to temporarily suspend in Batang Padang, because from the EIA report we feel it's really dubious. We don't know what they're doing behind the scene, you see. So challenge would be these sort of groups coming in and downgrading our works.